Bodies 101. You need to learn how to do this. No, it does not seem, no, it's not an over-exaggeration. You need to spend hours getting that memory down so that you can draw consistent circles at a given time. You need to practice this. But how do you practice this in a good, fun way? Well, a couple different ones. Check it out. If we draw a little circle and we go around it, we're like, whee, and we let it go out in any given point. We're going to come up with a little figure 9, right? So that's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to draw a little figure 9, and we're going to draw a little ball at the end, like a little stick figure. That's going to be your foot. That's step 2. Step 3 is you draw the little foot, and then you bring it back in depending on how wide you want your leg to be. So that's step 3. And now you repeat that 3 more times for each appendage. So times 4. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And then now, in between the arms, you are going to add a little head. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and a little head. So now that you know how to draw a little simple body like this, what can you do with that? Well, the next step is to learn to overlap these lines. So if you want to move them, turn them around and stuff, you do circle, down, and then up, and then you overlap your line a little. By doing so, you're bringing an element forward in space a little bit. Ta-da! A little tiny overlap. And moving shapes behind the other one with a little bit of tone. Ta-da! Now you have 3/4. And if you practice doing this in all sorts of directions, you're going to have access to learning a lot of motion. That's kind of cool. But that's not it. There's more. After you do that, should we go down? Yeah, I think we should go down. Then we go down this way. So now after you do this, you got to learn that you can do this outside and you can do that inside. So now you can move your elements inside your body or outside your body, right? So now you have access to full range of movement. You can move outside, inside, overlap things, cover things up, whatever you want, right? And then when you are masterful of this, and I mean masterful, like spend time doing this for like a month. Just spend a month doing just these little circle guys. Learning how the flow works, learning how all that stuff works, so that you can actually understand your bodies a little bit more. Don't go to the next stage until you've mastered this level, right? Because this level is really cool. Like at this level, you can get a lot of stuff like down, right? There is, you could build an entire career just by mastering this level. This level, by just learning that, you'll be able to draw every little chibi character you have ever wanted. Right? Give them a big head. You have yourself a little chibi character. Draw them smaller heads. You have normal cartoon characters. Okay? So, ta-da! You have access to drawing every single cartoon character. Oh, you also have access to drawing every animal possible, pretty much. Instead of a cone, make a little box. Now you have yourself little feetsies. Right? If you double it up, which is the next step, we're going to learn how to draw legs and feet. So animals and stuff like that will not be completely out of the realm really, really quickly. Okay? Wait. For a class course or something like that, what are you saying? I haven't looked at the chat. Oh, there was a QR code at the beginning of the stream. Yeah. You guys got to wait till the end of the stream now until, if you guys want to get it, it's right here. But I do it at the beginning of my streams. So I encourage people to join the stream early. And I do it at the end of my streams because I like to compensate the people that have stayed here for that long. So the next stage after you learn how to play around with this, right? The next stage is simply doubling everything up. What do you mean by that? Well, you can do a circle, right? Well, now you're going to do two. One of them for the arms, one of them for the legs. If you connect them, you get a body. But we're going to not just double up the arms, we're going to double up the legs. Going to double up everything. The circle that we drew for the head, now you're going to draw a circle inside. And that's going to become your collarbone. So everything gets doubled up. Everything. You just double up everything, and then you learn pivot points so that you can move them. And then you already know how to move them inside, so all you got to do is learn how to overlap shapes. Right? So you double it up, and then you learn how to overlap. So overlapping comes from understanding how elements interact with each other. Right? How do two basic shapes interact with each other? That's it. You got to learn this. You just need to learn how little balls overlap into each other. And by learning that, you're going to have access to learning how to pose your character in every position you can want. Posing is just about moving these two shapes in different positions. So now you have two circles. You have one for the legs, one for the body, and you already know how to draw the little body shapes because you already spent time doing these. Right? So whenever you draw two shapes, you already know how to draw a body. It's just a matter of putting a little bit of creativity on it. Right? And then only after that do you go into anatomy. Why? Because anatomy fits inside of these shapes like a glove. So if you have your character and you have this very basic structure, right? Da-da-da. Your anatomy fits in here so beautifully. In between the legs, draw a circle. From the circle to the edge of the leg, you have your hip bones. You already drew your rib cage. That initial shape is your rib cage. Connect the circle you draw for your head down to the circle that connects to your body, and you have your spine. Your legs will be defined much more by just overlapping shapes the right way than anything else. Same thing with the arms. Just learning how to overlap shapes the right way will be able to give you a lot of definition. Can you draw a dragon? Please stop spamming. Please stop spamming. It is incredibly annoying when you spam. Even if you're being respectful, it's incredibly annoying. We're not talking about dragons right now. If we were talking about dragons, I would gladly take that question. But we're not talking about dragons. So, please, be mindful. We're giving a theme. We have a class. We have a lesson. When you spam over and over, it's the equivalent of a little kid going, me, 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 me. I get it. I understand. Wait until we're done with the lesson and then ask your question. Anatomy. Well, for the cones, let's say you have your little circle, you draw your anatomy, and then you draw a cone. Bye-bye. Right? The muscle structures inside of this can be divided by two shapes. Since it's getting big to small, all you need inside is two overlapping shapes like this. Right? Then all you need to do is determine a pivot point for that intersection so that you can actually move it around in the direction that you want. Right? When you overlap two shapes, set a pivot point, and then that pivot point is going to be the angle in which that next section rotates from. So whenever you're thinking about body parts, you got to think. We already learned how to draw the little stick guy. Then we just need to set a pivot point and draw two little shapes. How do you connect the rib cage and the legs? Easy. Like I said, you draw a little drumstick, a little chicken drumstick, and then you give yourself hip bones. That's going to be your rib cage, your head, your collarbone, your body parts, and your leg structure. So a lot of the times people overcomplicate it, and that's why they have so much confusion, right? They overdraw everything. They want to make everything look like marble or anything before they even know how to position a body part. Stop rushing. Wouldn't female and male anatomy different? Do you want to see the difference? The only difference between a guy and a girl is the shape, the size of your hips. If your hips are about the size of your rib cage, you're going to get more of a guy, right? If your upper body is really wide, you end up with a little taper, so you end up with a guy. If you draw your hip bones bigger, but your ankles and the collarbone is a little bit smaller, you end up with curviness. That gives you more of a female shape. So, and then you add boobs. Boobies. When he sees, it looks easy. When he tries, it is hard. I don't know, it's just another way to see things. Yeah. So that is the pathway to drawing humans. You could learn to draw these in like a month and master them. And then after that, you can focus on more like anatomical things, right? Once you understand those features, you're going to be like drumstick into my hip bones. And then you can draw more loosely because you're going to be able to know where your body parts go. And then you have abilities to be able to draw any stylization you want on top of this, right? Anatomy comes from back of the leg to kneecap, back of the leg to kneecap, inside, inside. Done. Arm, this line is the outside of my arm, and then it goes back into my body. Okay? This line will always be the outside of my arm, and then it goes inside my body. Okay? So this line is very important. That's why your collarbone is so important. That's why we learn to double everything up, and we add that little circle inside. But this also looks like an eye, like the eye of Sauron. It kind of looks like the eye of Sauron shooting up a laser beam. So learning how all this works in anatomy later on is just going to be about learning how to overlap shapes. If you learn how to overlap some shapes inside of those cones, you're going to be golden. You don't really need to add anything else on top of your structures that you already drew. You already drew yourself some guides that are going to be really good. All you need from this point on, is just know how they overlap into each other. Right? The structure doesn't change for more detail. You just need to learn how your muscle structures work. Okay. So rest easy in the fact that it's not going to be incredibly difficult once you understand a little bit of your foundation skills. This is the basics to all art, yeah. This is literally just the foundations. Is there an easier way to remember how all the muscles look? I'm literally giving you the heads. I'm giving you all the tips. Tiger stance. Can this one go on YouTube? Yes. Rod has great tips. Yes, this one's going on YouTube. I'm making it a point to upload it to YouTube immediately after I get off of here. Why have I not done it before? Because I get off and then I go get food. And then I forget. No joke, I just forget. So there's like dozens and dozens of lessons that I just never really posted there. Speaking of dragons, just realized I haven't seen Bernie. Bernie is on a little break, not for any reasons. I just had to draw a bunch of animals for like other things.